Peace and blessings. So welcome back to Heritage Hip Hop, where we introduce you to your future favorite artists today by celebrating the heritage of hip hop, which is us, because we're God's heritage, which means God's heritage is hip hop. And today I got somebody who personifies musician more than artist. Please introduce yourself to the people.
What's going on, y'all? Grace and peace. My name is Vertical Jones, hailing from the Ivy Hill section of Newark, New Jersey. I come from a very rich musical culture, and I'm just excited and blessed and fortunate to be here for Heritage Hip Hop.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you. See, when most people interview people about music, they talk about their albums, what they've done, and things of that nature. I want to talk to you more philosophically to appreciate the art that you have created. Is that possible?
Sure.
That's good for you? We could do that?
Yeah, that's right up my alley, for sure.
Okay, so shout out to the Bricks, because Newark, New Jersey is known for what people think it is rather than for what it really truly is. How do you define Newark, New Jersey and how it enlightens your sound?
Well, I feel like Newark, New Jersey is it's kind of like a melting pot, if you will. Being that we're right next to New York, I feel like we always had to fight a little harder. I feel like we had to fight a little harder to make our mark. We wasn't from one of the boroughs, so just being from the place of hip hop wasn't enough for us. We always had to go above and beyond. Like Redman had to be a lot crazier lyrically than a lot of the other of his counterparts. If you listen to the way hip hop was in the early 90s when Redman came out, he was way more lyrical than everybody, even then. You know what I'm saying? It was like all of the artists from Lauryn Hill to even people like Paul Simon, which is also from Newark, right? I feel like we had to do a lot more. I feel like we had to do a lot more than people from other places. So being from Newark, I feel like I followed that same suit. I looked up to people from across the water, but I felt like I had to be crazier. I had to be more talented. I had to go harder. I had to walk harder. You know what I'm saying? I can't hear you.
I do. Because during the history of New Jersey and the stigma of New Jersey in hip hop, New Jersey gives off a very, let's just say, rough exterior and rough name for itself. Our reputation really hurts us as well as helps us at the same time.
Right.
And that's just synonymous with the city of Newark, just the same way. Because when you do the history of Newark, Newark was one of the richest towns in the country at one time. And because of the infighting, the bickering, and money, people changed their zip codes, and that's how it got dispersed.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And knowing that history and knowing how hip hop culture is as far as people fighting for position, it seems that we take for granted the jewels and gems that we have because we're trying to fit a narrative or a picture.
Right, for sure.
Do you find that as one of the main definitions of what it is to be an artist, especially when you're a talented musician and artist?
Right. Well, I feel like being from over here, we don't know where we come from, right? We don't understand the rich culture that we come from. People don't know that people like Wayne Shorter came from Newark, which was like, I remember my man Skyzoo was talking about Miles Davis, and he was like comparing like Miles Davis and John Coltrane to like Jay-Z and Nas, and Wayne Shorter was like right there, like within that trinity of like the top musicians, jazz musicians at the time. People don't know that Wayne Shorter is from Newark, that Paul Simon is from Newark. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have such a rich culture, even beyond the violence, and we've been known for stolen cars and now gangs and now like violence and all of this stuff. But like, Newark was called the Renaissance City, and it also was the center for for jazz in America. This is where everybody came and went and threw down and got busy before the riots in '67. So if we knew about the rich culture that we had, if we knew how like Redman is Eminem's favorite rapper, and Eminem is millions of kids all around the world's favorite rapper, but that seed came from people like the Outsiders, which is a crew that Eminem used to run with. That's from North. These seeds all over the music industry stem from here. And if we really knew how important people like Queen Latifah and Naughty by Nature, how they're still touring in Germany and all over the world, if we really knew how important these people was, we would really take it serious that where we're from. Outside of just, yeah, I'm from Newark and it's hard where we're from, and you know what I mean? We get busy on the street level, but on the musical level, I always tell people I come from a rich culture.
I like that. You know what's deep though? Because everybody in the hip hop likes, you know, double entendres and hidden meanings and stuff, right?
Right.
So I remember hearing Illmatic, and Nas said sleep is the cousin to death.
Right.
At that time, that was a mind-blowing phenomenon of a bar. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. It still is.
But as you mature, your understanding of that is so much more.
Right.
I heard somebody also say pain is the nurturing of music, because as you develop and understand your pain, your expression becomes more soulful because it's more rich in truth. Do you agree?
Yeah, Marvin Gaye says that great artists suffer for the people. All of the greatest albums, I don't care what. And I was having this thought earlier, like, what happens when a great artist becomes successful? A lot of times their music falls off. You know what I'm saying? Because we're fighting all of this time, and the music is our way of expressing ourselves when we're dealing with things with our lady, with our kids, at school, in our neighborhood, with our parents, with drugs, with depression. Music is our vice. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's true. Like the greatest artists, when they're going through, just like Mary J, like we know when Mary J going through, you know we about to get a banger. And the only song with Mary J that I don't like is that the feeling good. It's a great song, but I don't like that song, and it's messed up that the fans kind of like it when we go through. When Beyonce was going through the thing with Jay, when she made that Lemonade album, it was amazing. It was a piece of art. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I agree 1,000%.
The thing about what you just said, and I'm hit a point that you said earlier later. Happiness is relative, but pain is universal.
Right.
And relativity,
that's heavy.
It is.
That's heavy.
The relativity of joy is that how we define joy goes into our vices within our lusts. But pain is truth. There is no lust in pain because nobody wants pain. But when you get it, it defines who you are. It defines your character. And as a musician, it can even define your expression, your sound, and your authenticity.
Right.
You brought up Marvin Gaye.
Right.
I think you are synonymous to Marvin Gaye when it comes to hip hop.
He's one of my favorites. I definitely identify with him a lot.
I can tell. And you know what song I was listening to today that reminded me of your music? Save the Children off the Ecology.
I just was listening to that today. I was just listening to it. It's in my CD player right now, I promise you. I
believe that the Ecology is the first mixtape ever made that went mainstream.
Bruh, that's deep.
I'm gonna relate it to your music in a minute. Just bear with me.
All right.
Shout out to the train. But
yeah, it's crazy over here. I don't know if I need to go somewhere else.
Nah, you good. I love it because it's good. But think about this. The Ecology is the first album that came out that was artist driven and directed. Part 1. It was the album that changed the game that made Stevie Wonder and all other artists want artist credit for making their own tapestry without the label telling them how to make music. That's number 1. Number 2, it was the first album that wasn't live, that which every beat circulated a theme and they blended into each other until you get to after say I think Right On or something like that, when the thing changed and the snares come in. That's number two. And number three, that was the first album that was made that was relevant to the times of the people, and it established that album established conscious hip hop.
That's heavy. Yeah, yeah. I I study Marvin Gaye, and they said that when he made What's Going On, um, Barry Gordy didn't like it. He said it was too jazzy.
Mm-hmm.
So Marvin Gaye was like, all right. He went to San Francisco and he kind of leaked it to the radio or whatever over there, and it kind of went crazy. So then when he got back to Detroit, um, Barry Gordy told him, all right, you got about a week. You got about 5 days. He told him you got about 5 days. So that's why that album sound like that. They finished that album in about a week. They had What's Going On, and they kind of like took What's Going On and stretched What's Going On all throughout the album. That whole album is an extension of that same song. And you know, it's my favorite. Next to Illmatic is my favorite album of all time.
Sound
That's
like
my
sound,
1A, 1B.
sound like a mixtape, don't it?
It sure does. It sure does. It sure does.
The songs that you made that reminded me of that sound was the song Purpose.
Right.
Purpose and Alone together from the Gold Tape. That's one of the projects that you made that I purchased.
Okay,
And
wow. I
check
appreciate
this
that.
out. That album went over my head for 2 years before I was able to catch up to it.
That's heavy.
Let me tell you why. And this is why I call you a musician and not an artist. Music does not have a shelf life.
That's right. Good music.
Music lives, and it lives on.
Right.
It's up to you to listen to the message or to experience it.
Right.
That's why the genre of music or the art of music is so synonymous with life, because you are one person in 9 billion people. 9 billion people aren't going to meet you, know you, see you, feel you, eat with you, etc. But the people who experience it experience a moment in time that could only be captured if allowed. In hip hop, a lot of us don't allow ourselves to hear, or our ears are not capable of being allowed to hear until the vibrations around you change.
That's right.
I want to ask you, from Swim to Neon, you had a growth, but even from Neon to the Gold Tape, you had a growth. How do you define your growth stylistically, musically, and through understanding?
So what happened was earlier throughout the early 2000s, about 04 to about 2010, I was out getting busy. You know what I mean? All hip hop DX, SOBs, Joe's Pub, running with, Joel Ortiz and that whole circuit around the time. I was really getting busy. And what happened was me and my management parted ways, and my best friend moved to Cali. So I went through a season of being felt like I was abandoned. And then my daughter was born. So then when my daughter was born, I just stopped caring. I didn't want to MC anymore. I always wanted to sing, but I never had the guts to do it. So with my daughter being born, my management left, my best friend left, I was like, all right, well, fuck it. Let's go for it. So then when I started to experiment with it, it made me upset because every time I wrote a lyric down as an MC, I always was striving to hit that hip hop quotable. I come from the Source era. I was in the Unsigned Hype, and I come from that Source era where that hip hop quotable and that 5 mics meant a lot. So I didn't want to MC anymore. And what made me upset is when I started to sing this alternative music, it started to happen so fast. Not just the ladies, because the ladies identify. I'm just talking about everybody gravitated towards Swim so fast that it made I almost wanted to throw up, because I'm like, yo, I sing this kind of vague. You don't really know what I'm talking about, but you feel it, and it works. And I can sit in the studio and I can make 20 songs and all these mixtapes and all of these battles and all these shows. It doesn't connect the same way. And then, so that's what happened with Swim. I started to realize that I can connect with people all over the world, like you were saying, without seeing them, without touching them, without meeting them. I can connect with them through music without even saying much, but just the feeling. So then Neon came, and I was just having fun. I was just experimenting with sound. I didn't even know what the new version of Afrobeat was. I recognized Afrobeat as being like Fela Kuti. So I was just making stuff. And then later on, people tell me that, oh, you sound like you was making like Afrobeat. I just was like, I was just making what I felt. Because at the time I was trying to discover who I was. I was trying to dig deep into my history and my roots and trying to figure out where my family is from. And I just started to make stuff just from my DNA code, like what was deep in the bottom of my soul. I just started to make stuff. And that was a really exciting time. And then I remember being in the studio at the time I was doing Neon, and my man Potts, he played a beat for me. I swear I asked him for this beat like 8 years ago. And then he played this beat, and for anybody that's an MC, it don't matter where you're at. You could be at work, you could be in the middle of making love. If somebody drive past and they play a beat, and it's one of those beats, it's gonna change everything. He played this beat, and that's when when I'm watching every person place a thing moving off the gold tape. That verse happened right then. It happened in about 3 minutes. At that point, I decided like, yo, I'm gonna make a rap album. And it was only because I wanted to. It wasn't because I had to. It wasn't because the people wanted it. It's just because I wanted to do it. And I swear, when I put that thing out, the response was so crazy. But what also happened, when I decided to MC again, I wanted to make sure that I was communicating something very clearly. I didn't want to be a lyrical miracle. I didn't want that, because I can do that. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to over spiritualize it, because I've done that in the past. I wanted to communicate why I was gone, what brought me back, and I kind of wanted to give an ode to what I call the Rockefeller era. At the time when Rough Riders and Rockefeller and Murder Inc. and all of them was running around, and I was very young in the game, me and my man Reek G sneaking up to Rockefeller, trying to get Ramsey some soul beats. And around the time I met Kanye, early, we talk about Backpack Kanye, I was just giving an ode to that era of hip hop with the gold tape. So that's those 3 albums.
But you know what's deep about that era that you're talking about in the midst of those 3 albums? Your ear, I would say your ear is bilingual. Actually, it's quadlingual. Right. Quadlingual.
Okay.
No, let's be real.
Yeah, for sure.
I always ask people, when you write or you create, do you translate the beat, or is the music talking to you? So, yeah, go ahead, answer that. Go ahead, let me see what you say.
I'm a music producer first.
Mm-hmm.
I came in the game as a music producer. If anybody saw 8 Mile, the guy Lotto that battled Eminem, he was the artist. We was on Interscope, and I was the producer. I was 19. He had to deal with Interscope with, Steve Stout and Anton and Tone and Polk and all that. I was very young, so I always had to get the music part right first. As the years progressed, I started to become an artist. So it kind of was a cheat code. It's like I'm like 3 different people. I'm a producer, I'm really an MC, and then I'm also a singer-songwriter.
Those are 2
so
different
it's
things,
kind of like, right. So yeah, I'm a producer. So it's kind of like if I was like Cardiac, right? So let's say I'm Cardiac, the producer from Jersey, shout out Cardiac, and then I'm like a John Mayer type, which is like a singer-songwriter, and then I'm like a Skazoo type, all in one person though. So when I'm in the studio, I'm depending on what part of the process I'm in, I have to switch to those different gears.
I said quadlingual, you're pentingual. Look.
And then I'm also a musician too. So yeah, that's the quad. That's the quad. You're right. Yeah.
We add them on. That's why I call you a musician, because
Right.
most people take those things for granted. Let's teach the
Right.
people real fast. A producer is not a beat maker. So those are two
Hell no.
different jobs right there. Because people be like, yeah, I produce, I make beats. You just said two different things. You know what I'm saying? And most people don't
Right.
understand
Right.
how deep that is within itself. But to be an
That's
MC and a singer, that means you have two different pens. You don't have the same pen, because the mind of a singer may be in truth, but the expression of a rapper is not an expression of a singer.
but a singer is not always a songwriter too. So the songwriter is
Yeah.
separate from the singer.
Yeah.
Right.
See, let's keep going. Like I said, Michael Jackson, Quincy Jones. Hey, we can have that conversation, no doubt. I got you. You know what
Right.
I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. Right.
And
Right.
but
Right.
then here's the thing though. Where other people write, you're composing.
Right.
I think I found part of your cheat code. You can tell me if I'm off or not. I love
Okay.
challenging myself, because if I have an artist that challenges me, then I really dig in.
Right.
I think you hear three languages at the same time,
Okay.
because your beats talk while you rap.
Right.
Were you constructing language in your music before you were, I mean, as you produce more, rather than when you rap? The rap is like the last part, but the beat has a language to it.
It's colors. That's what it is. I have synesthesia too, like some of the greats have. It's all color and moods. You know what I mean? So if it's a dark beat, it's a dark color, maybe a black or purple, you know what I mean? It's something dark. So those colors, as soon as I hear it, I already know the tone and where I need to go. So if it's minor, I know my chord progressions, my melodies are minor. And minor correlates to emotion, right? Dark emotion, deep emotion, feeling, you know what I'm saying? And then I know my subject matter has to align with that too. So if I have a dark or a somber beat, I know my melodies go a certain way. I can't go on there too aggressive or too happy. I know exactly what I need to go based on the color of the music.
Okay.
So the music sets the tone. Like, and then, yeah, it is a language. When you hear, sometimes when the music comes on in seconds, I already have the melody, or I already may have half of the verse.
Mm.
Anybody,
Mm.
Chief Bally could attest to that. We'd be in the studio working on the joint,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll be halfway done. They say like Jay writes whole verses in his head. I don't write the whole verse, but I have the majority of what I want this thing to sound like, the feeling of it. It still may take me a minute to, it may take me 15 minutes to construct the verse, but I already know the mood and where I want it to go almost right away.
So, philosophy. Let's go back to philosophy.
Right.
One of my favorite albums of all time is Blue and Green, Miles Davis. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh, okay. Okay.
One of my favorite albums of all time. And I
Right.
remember watching the Arsenio Hall show when I was young. And Miles Davis said, the beauty of music is that you can hear it anywhere and it tells a story before you say a word. That's why he likes jazz so much, because the horn is telling you
Right.
the elements of
Right.
emotion.
Right.
And he said his dream song that he has not made was making a song based off of sneakers, basketballs, and the sound of the echo of the ball in the court.
It's heavy.
He said that's where he wants to put his focus before he dies,
Right.
into echoes. Now, check this out. I was listening to Social Distance, and that's why I brought up the language,
Right.
because Social Distance is one of the songs, and that's from Monochrome Season 2, which we're going to touch on later, everybody.
Season 2. For sure. For sure.
Social Distance is a song where the beat prepares you, but the words eject you, because
Right.
there's two languages in that song.
Right.
How do you construct a song, if this is conscious or not? How do you construct a song where the beat is the setup, but the words are the, how about, no, let me put it a different way. The beat is the jewel, but the words are the reinforcement of the lesson being played into your soul.
Okay. So the brand with Monochrome, the brand of hip hop that is underground, is very in the same ballpark as Rock Mars, Willie the Kid, Ka, Skyzoo. in terms of the
All right. All right.
that shit sound like Illmatic. Count this money, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. You spending the Jacksons, the Washingtons, go to wifey. Y'all know how that go. So the beats are very reminiscent of like Rock Mars, Ska, Ka, Willie the Kid. I would say some of West Side, but West Side stuff is really hard. It ain't really that, right? Shout out Griselda, right? So the music is very familiar. If you're an underground hip hop head, as soon as you hear the beat, you're like, oh yeah, this is it. But I have a responsibility for my message and what my purpose is, right? Creative freedom, you know what I'm saying? And my stance on spirituality and who I am as a father, who I am as a man in my community. I have a responsibility to that. And I also have a responsibility to be witty and be creative, right? So I can't just do what you expect me to do. So when I found the piece of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan up there talking about, when I talked to Brother Michael, it's just like, when I heard that, I just was like, yo, they gonna think that he really did this for me. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then he starts talking about depression, which is something that I talked about throughout my career. And then I start going in. It just was like, it was the perfect setup. And then as a lyricist, my job and my responsibility is to keep your attention and keep saying things that are, some may go over your head, some may get right away. Some of it, you may hear my voice and just like my voice. Some of it may be the flow. Some of it may be, I may say something like, that reminds something nostalgic, something that reminds you of something that you remember as a kid. And it's like, yeah, I remember that. You know what I'm saying? So
I'm gonna tell you what your hip hop takes me to. I'm a teacher by trade, and
okay.
I'm a preschool teacher. So I have the
Right.
3s, 4s, and the 5s, right? And because my spirit is erratic, I think I relate to y'all who are in the music industry because your spirit is not in one place ever, because the inspiration could come anywhere.
Right.
So one day in my class, I'll play what they like. I'll play superhero kindergarten, things like that, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But then sometimes I'll sit with the boys and I'll play Thundercats or pole position or
Right.
something like that, just to mess up
Right.
the day, because everybody thinks school has to be so structured. I'm like, nah, let's throw something out there to get the kids' imaginations going. For the
Right.
girls, I'll play Sailor Moon, Powerpuff Girls, and Josie and the Pussycats. Only the intros. I just play the music. And the kids will really be like, what's that? And then when I integrate the lesson into it, they want to go back and dance. And then I could use that
Right.
song to bring back my lesson.
Right.
Monochrome to me seems to be the lesson of life given in a way where it's growth, yet it's understanding if you understand it. Not you, the maker, but you, the listener.
Right. Right.
What was the genius behind Monochrome, and why is it in seasons like a TV show?
Well, I wanted to do it like a Netflix series. Part of it was like, yo, let me. So first what happened was Kobe. First of all, Kobe passed, and then I got a phone call from my lady. It was like, yo, Kobe passed, and it just was like, it messed me up. So I wrote, leave something on the spot. I never did any kind of spoken word or anything. So that was the start of it. Like, damn, like it messed me up so much. I wrote half of leave something. And I left it there. And then throughout the course of the next 10 days, Monochrome was done. It wasn't even called Monochrome. It was called The Breaking, right? And anybody that know me throughout my career, I always make up these names. So Monochrome was just the producer that I was going to make up because I wanted to produce from another spirit. So it was all of the beats that I was making was produced by Monochrome. And I was like, yo, that sounds like the title of an album. So then I changed it to that. So after I released one, that's when the George Floyd and all that stuff started to happen. So I felt like it was so much stuff going on. I had so much more to say. I wasn't done talking. I wasn't done delivering the message. I felt like I had to be the one to report the news or what people was feeling. So then I was like, oh, let's do season 2. And then I went to season 3 and I got with Skyzoo and we did Make It Home. And this was right at the height of the George Floyd protests. It was everything that was going on. When I got to season 4, I realized that Monochrome wasn't a Netflix series. It was a gallery. It was a photo book. It was a photo album. And every song was a picture. And every picture encapsulated a moment. And this is why I started talking about shoot like Gordon Parks, capture the raw essence. I started to relate to Gordon Parks, which is part of the reason why everything is black and white, because he was one of the first ones to capture the black experience in this dope black and white photography, which was always dope to me. So now I understand that, like you said, it is a life lesson. It is kind of like it's a photo album. It's like, this is what was happening at this time. Oh, you remember this? Oh, remember when your hair was like this? Remember this? So as I start to unfold them, and I got 3 monochromes coming out before September, 3 new ones. Because so now I understand what it is. It's just like whatever the moment, whatever the mood, whatever the emotion is, whatever's going on right now for the people, it's my job to report it. So there's a lot more to say. So that's kind of what it was for me.
Nina Simone describes that as being a true musician and artist.
Right.
She said your music should reflect the times of what you're living in.
That's right.
But part of the genius of Monochrome is this. For everybody who doesn't understand, Monochrome deals with shades. Right. And life is never truly black and white because we have edges. We have things that we can go back and forth into. But the reason why I like Monochrome itself, not just the albums and stuff, is that Monochrome is purity. It's truth or lies. That's it. The gray is there, but it's not, you're not being caught by the blues, the reds, and all that. No, it's bare bones honesty.
Right.
That's your son with the crown on, with the shades.
Actually, it's not him, but he looks exactly like that. When I got the picture, I was telling my people, like, yo, that looks exactly like my son. From the side, it looks my son looks exactly like that. It's not even him, but it looks my son looks exactly like that.
But every picture of Monochrome seems to follow a theme, because there's you with your first child, I would presume.
Right, that's my youngest, yeah.
Then the second image seems like, is that of a man or a woman?
That's me.
That's you. I can't really tell. And that's the beauty of it, because it's not defined.
Right.
It seems like it's a phase of understanding that goes on. Then you have the child with the crown. And usually when people take their glasses down like that, it's in a change.
Right.
Whether it's emotional, spiritual, whatever. When anybody plays with their eyes in the picture, it's an understanding. Right. You know what I'm saying? And then in season 4, the backdrop is behind the innocence of eyes and youthfulness. Right. That's like your Illmatic cover by itself right there.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And one thing I've learned as I've traveled through hip hop in my years is the album art sometimes dictates the sound or the spirit of the project. Right. Is that where you were going, or was it just happenstance?
You know what? It was more like I wanted to. Okay, so I went through like a 20-year hardcore battle with depression, suicide, the whole thing. The thing that helped me get delivered from it was my kids. Mm-hmm. So it was very important that I show my heroes and my protectors, if you will. So the first one was just me and my son. And then the second one was me, just showing like it was me, like I was broken, but I was like, you saw all of the pieces. So it was still there. I was broken, but the pieces were there. So, there was an opportunity or an opportunity for me to come back together. And then 3 was the young boy, the crown, which represents the future. With everything that was going on with George Floyd and everything was like Black Lives Matter. I don't really subscribe to that movement, but the idea that there's ever a question that we matter, a young Black kid with a crown on it just solidifies it for me. Like, this is exactly what it is. And then 4 was my daughter. And at the beginning, that's my daughter talking and she's singing up there too. which is my daughter is the most talented person that I know. So, and then 5 is my brother, Reef. He's in the Marines. So it's paying homage to him. And you go get the exclusive. And Monochrome Season 6 is called In the Name of My Father, Charles Howard. And it's coming out on Father's Day on June 20th.
Right.
So it's just showing the people that matter the most in my life.
But and salute to all that, because that's dope. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what independence and not having somebody tell you how to make your music is. You know what I'm saying? But you also are a general amongst generals and men. Shout out to the people that you work with. You work with Realist Promise, who dropped a classic album, Alumni.
For sure.
If you don't have Alumni,
yes,
only are you whack. Your playlist is whack. And Alumni is nominated for the Heritage Hip Hop album, project of the year. Check that out.
It's my brother. Yes.
You work with Dox Diggler, another person who's nominated for project of the year.
Yes.
Great man, by the way.
Yeah, still sharp and still. Tom
Gitz. Black Hand Entertainment alumnus. You know what I'm saying? I was big on Tom Gitz when he first came out, and I lost my way because I haven't seen his music. So I'm trying to catch up with him. I'd love to meet him and talk to him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he has a project called Better Days that we did, which actually turned into the movie. It was a project that me and him did, an EP called Better Days. You can go back to that. That'll keep you up to date.
No doubt. And then you bring up Sky Zoo, who I think is one of the most eloquent and yet misunderstood or unappreciated MCs in the game. Period. Because he has about 2 or 3 classics that people don't talk about enough. Music with My Friends. Come on now.
I'm biased. I'm in celebration of us. The Salvation.
Oh man,
he got it.
JJ versus
Oh, stop it,
bro! That one was crazy.
Yo, I'm biased. Sky Zoo is one of my favorite MCs. I just happen to have worked with him as of late, and every now and then I check in to see how the homie's doing. And me and him is both born like a week apart.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And I think his son's birthday is the day before mine. Miles.
That's crazy.
So crazy. I think I attribute my my lyricism to the fact that I have so many sparring partners. Like I could never, because I had ladies tell me lately that like my voice, it just carries. Soon as I get on, you hear the voice and they just like, ooh, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of times for rappers that have great voices, they kind of get so comfortable that knowing that their voice is fire, that they don't got to bring it. Being around R.A.P. and Dox and Tom Gitz and Swerve and Sky and just challenging my pen, knowing that I have to answer to them if it's not tough. I'm gonna get that call like, yo, come on, you could have gave that beat to me. You know what I'm saying? So I have to make sure that my pen, no matter how crafty and eloquent and artistic it is, the pen, it has to be tough, because the people I surround myself with are certified killers.
And that's what I want to ask you. What is it like being a member of the Justice League or the Avengers? And how do you keep up?
I'm everybody's producer. I do everybody's music. I have 50 songs with Feedon, 50 with Dox, 50 with Tom Gitz. So it's just fun. It's kind of like every artist has that producer. I just happen to be their producer. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have Nas work with a lot of people, but when Nas get with Primo, it's special. When Snoop get with Dre, it's special. Khaled work with a lot of people. When they get with Hot Tech, like Mos Def, maybe it's Madlib or Dilla. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when Jay get with Just Blaze, it's just different. You know what I mean? Like Snoop get with Battle Cat. It's just like it's just so it's like I'm that guy for them. I just happen to be a MC that they can say that's on their level too. So it's kind of like I'm like mad people. You know what I'm saying? I'm like their Pete Rock.
That's a good example.
You know what I'm saying? For all of these artists, but I also throw down too. But when I'm in the studio with them, I can just shut my MC off. I can shut my pen off and I can focus on being a producer and make sure the record comes out right and just helping to facilitate them. I think that's why I talk about basketball so much. I identify with the point guard so much. Shout out my man, Sham God. That's why I identify with the
Facts.
point guard, and not just point guards, but New York and Jersey street ball legends that were point guards, because it's just different when you come from the East Coast and you a point guard. It's just different when you come up that court. It's a different kind of energy with it. And I identify with a point guard being able to see the whole. I may see something that Docs may not see. I may hear something that Tom Gibbs doesn't hear. No matter how talented they are as lyricists, they're not producers. So they can't hear or see what I see because I'm the point guard. They're
Mm,
shooters. You know what I'm
mm.
saying? They're scorers. I'm a
I like
point
that.
guard. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of the thing. I just want to help facilitate the great artists I have around me.
I like that. Before we close up the interview with the second part of this conversation, I want to give you kudos, credit, and your stars, whatever you like, flowers, roses, whatever. I want to give you that because you're a businessman.
Right.
And one thing I respect about you highly is you having your own website and people being able to buy your stuff directly from you instead of being a slave. What
Oh
is it?
boy, let's talk about that.
No,
That's a
I mean,
great segue.
yeah, I
No, it's
mean,
great. It's
that
great.
that's this is what I believe in. Cause I want to tell you something, and then I want you to just feed right off of it. All right. If I was a painter, I would like to paint a picture of like what's they call that stuff? Sadomasochism,
Right. Right.
BDSM or something. And this is
Right.
how I want to draw it. I want to have a person in a corporate suit with no face, right?
Right.
Holding a leather strap that goes around people's necks, right?
Right.
And those people are men and women with TV screens or phone screens that say Spotify, iTunes, and all that on it. And then they're
Right.
pouring water down out their hands out of a pitcher into people like this with phones because that's how they get their music.
Right.
And in the background,
That's heavy.
I want the artist like in a graveyard because I feel the
Right.
appreciation for the art of music is dead because we highlight the people with that are renting the music to us instead of celebrating the artist that's creating the music.
Right.
So with your business mind, which I think is eloquent because this is something I teach as well, you don't ever want a middleman in any other part of your life. The train co-signed it. You don't ever want a middleman in any other part of your life. So why would you want a middleman take away from the prestige of your art? Why don't you talk about that for a second?
I want to give credit to my virtual mentor, Ryan Leslie.
Yeah.
I was, I'm a fan of his. I'm a follower of his. I've spent so much money learning from Ryan Leslie. I was in New York, I want to say about 7 or 8 years ago. About probably like 6 years ago. And I paid money to come to this, it's kind of like a meetup. There's about 100 people in the room. Nipsey was there. Rest in peace, Nipsey. Right? I was so into what Ryan Leslie was saying and trying to soak up game that I forgot that I had a song in my phone with Nipsey's vocals on it, right? My man JY had a song. It was JY, Avery Storm, and Nipsey. The original version had Nipsey. Nipsey eventually went on another song, and Joel Ortiz was on that song. But in my phone, while Nipsey and Ryan Leslie was right there, I had Nipsey's vocals in my phone. I wasn't even thinking about it. So I was so into what Ryan Leslie was saying. I went to Ryan Leslie's website because I'm a web designer, right? I opened up the code and I started to, I don't know if you've ever seen a website, the code of a website, it's just mad zeros and ones and weird shit, right? So I'm looking at his website and I'm examining every line of code to try to understand what is he doing. He was the first person I saw doing a direct-to-consumer using Shopify and having people go to his site and doing a subscription-based model 8 years ago, 9 years ago, he was already doing it. So I learned that from Ryan Leslie, exclusively, directly. It came from Ryan Leslie. Make no mistake, Ryan Leslie was the one that put Nipsey on that part of the game. And because Nipsey was such a brilliant business mind, once he attached himself to that, he just took off and he started doing all this other stuff. but I don't think people give credit to Ryan Leslie's genius. I got it from Ryan Leslie. I got the direct-to-consumer concept from Ryan Leslie. Before then, I was selling music out of my trunk, which is cool. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to give credit, right? I just wanted to give credit to Ryan Leslie because he really was the one. Before he came out with the Superphone, he already was doing this. Shopify, like you go to the website, you buy the album, and you're looking at the analytics. I can tell the name, the address, the birthday of everybody that bought my stuff. I can even look right now at my app and see if anybody's on it right now. So it's something that I'm learning the business mind now because I'm a true artist, but I'm learning. Yo, Pharrell said something the other day, right? It blew my mind and it kind of messed me up for like 3 days. He had an interview with Steve Stout and he was saying, he was trying to give advice to the artists. And he said something to the effect of like, if you know music, but you don't know business, you're going to end up being a victim. If you know business, but don't know music, it kind of doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. And it kind of, I thought about the Monochrome series, and I thought about these great artists, how they just complain and complain and complain. And Pharrell said, the great prophet Pharrell said that if you have music, but you don't know the business, you're only putting yourself in a position to be a victim. So we listen to these great artists and we just complain how we're so dope. We don't get our flowers. We don't get our credit. It's because we're not understanding the business part. When I got that, this is just 3 days ago, I said, yo, I got to stop complaining. We all got to stop complaining. We just got to learn what the hell we doing, for real. We got to learn what we doing.
I 100% agree. That's like saying I'm fat, I got to lose weight, but you keep eating. Like
you complaining something. I look good. Why nobody want me? Why the lady? Bro, figure out what you got to do. It's too much information.
Yeah,
we waste so much time sitting around complaining, talking about, oh, why they like Lil Yachty? Why they like Lil Baby? No, because they can't understand something about the music business that you don't. It ain't about the music. It ain't about your talent. You have the talent. You don't have the other thing. And one doesn't work without the other.
But there's something I want to apologize to you for that most people don't have the balls to apologize to you for. And it's coming from a New Jersey media aspect.
Right.
The artists are fucked up individuals. Let's just put that out there. I'm going to be honest with you. Artists are fucked up individuals. But you're fucked up individuals, all of y'all. Even myself, if I was an artist, I'll be in that too. Because when you create something, the impetus has to be on you. So a lot of people blame you for being self-serving, selfish. And I get it. Because there's a point where you do have to be selfish because this is your creation. This is your baby. Right. You're putting your vision out. So I get it. I'm not mad at the artist though.
Right.
I'm not even mad at the media, but I'm going to apologize to you as a media outlet for this. We've been told too many lies that put us against each other. For one thing, this is a lie that you've been told, I've been told, and I basically tell everybody, shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear it no more. Part of my language. Right. But the one thing is New Jersey got to be more like Atlanta, and I don't believe that. Because when I did my history in Atlanta, so many artists signed 360 deals, and they wanted to get out of their management contracts that a lot of them didn't blow. Think about that. I hear a lot of people say, we need to put money into one artist and just push them, and then the whole state will blow. That's a goddamn lie, because most artists don't even pay for interviews. So what the hell are they talking about? They full of shit. Part of my language. Right. That's true. Right. And 3, here's the biggest thing that I think, as a media person, I can apologize to you and mean this because it's relevant. Right. When we find great talent or somebody that we believe in, a lot of us focus on not pushing you. We just focus on having you. Right. So a lot of media people are looking for the attention the artists get. And that's what makes them fail. Right. So I want to apologize to you on behalf of the New Jersey media, because everybody's looking to be the one instead of being beneficial.
Right. Right.
And,
I
and,
think.
and here's what I want to ask you about that, and then we're going to close up. I hate hearing we need the crabs in the barrel mentality, because crabs are not in barrels normally or naturally, so they're going to grab each other to get the fuck out because that's unnatural.
Not a natural habitat.
But you know what's an unnatural habitat for a person who consumes music? The most unnatural habitat is what's the best way I could put this? It's when everybody sounds the same. I don't want to put a word on it. It's
Yeah.
uncomfortability that makes the listener happy. But if you want to follow the fad, not the trend, you follow the fad, then the ear becomes dull. So my
Right.
final question of this is, as an artist, what can be done from your standpoint to keep the ears fresh and not get mono to the millions of sounds that people are missing because they're not being introduced to them?
Wow. Okay. I'm also a coach. So I'm also a creative coach. So I have the license to explore this a little bit. The secret, the secret to the whole thing is twofold. The secret is the listeners listening to good music and exploring good music of all kinds, of all sorts, of all time periods. And also the secret is artists listening to music too. Most artists don't listen to music. Artists either listen to beats all day or listen to whatever's on the radio on the way to the studio. And then, oh, maybe I need to make a song like this Drake, Nicki Minaj. Yo, let me find a beat like that. Then they go to YouTube, Drake, Lil Wayne type beat. And then, oh, yo, pull this beat up. And then they doing that. It's kind of like one of my friends, is from Jamaica. And he started making music and it sounded it was okay. It was cool. But when he started to add that culture in there, it's like Kanye was talking about when he was on Ellen. He was like, yeah, you got money, but are you connecting? It's about connecting. So if shout out my man Chase McClure, right? I see the dude Mark Hamill is out. Shout out Mark Hamill. I heard he's from the city, doing really well. And part of the reason why Mark Hamill is doing really well outside of the mystique is the fact that he's embracing that Haitian culture so hard.
Mm-hmm.
He's embracing it so hard that if I'm Haitian, I'm not, but if I was, I would love his stuff because he's representing who I am. Before I even heard him, I would rock with him. Mm-hmm. So there's a few things. One of them is like listening to good music for the listener and for the artist. The second one is being really honest about who you are, and that talks about culture and spiritual belief. If I'm Haitian, if I'm a Haitian rapper, this is for all the Haitian rappers that's out there. If you ain't talking Creole on them records, I don't know what you're doing, because you're missing an opportunity to connect. I'm from the church. So if I'm talking about grace and peace and to God be the glory, all the stuff I'm talking about is straight out of the church. I'm straight from the church. I'm from the church, bro. What else am I going to talk about but God, how good he been to me? What else I'm going to talk about? So if you identify with that, you go connect with her just because. If you never listen to my music, as soon as I start saying, you know what I'm saying? You connect. So it's like listening to good music. And then it's like being honest about who you are, because I think the artists are missing out on an opportunity to connect. You know what I'm saying? Like you may be from like, I don't know, a lot of my friends is like from like Puerto Rico, from Dominican Republic. If you're not speaking Spanish on them records, if you're not talking about this lingo, shout out my man Sicario Sosa. He's a Dominican rapper from the city. If you're not talking about some of this culture, some of the food, some of the stories that your grandmother, you know what I'm saying? If you're not adding this culture, this sauce, it's like seasoning. It's like we all got chicken, but depending on where you're from in the world, it will depend how that shit tastes.
Yeah.
It's the season.
Yeah.
So the dullness is just like food with no taste. I worked in a hospital. It's not that the hospital food is bad, it's bland, they don't got no taste. They can't put the seasoning because it may make your blood pressure go up.
Yeah.
So we have to add that seasoning, whatever it is, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Let's not fall into these trends, and let's just be really authentic about who we are and what we like. And I think that'll be the difference between stuff getting dull and stuff being fresh and stuff that people can actually attach themselves to and connect to.
So with that being said, everybody, be truthful to yourself and where you come from, because when you create, it becomes more lively and truthful in your expression. There's a reason why somebody
Right.
once said, you're not familiar, I can't feel you, I need something realer.
Right.
Because that real is missing.
Right.
So give everybody your social media so they can connect with you on social media and your website so they can buy your music.
All right. So first, my website is keepworkingvert.com. On Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Just search Vertical Jones. I'm the only Vertical Jones in the world. There's no other Vertical Jones, thank God. So Vertical Jones on all social media. I'm not really on Twitter like that. So you want to catch me on Instagram, catch me on Facebook. I'm on there. And I'm also a licensed certified creative coach. So these when you talked about music philosophy, that's what I do. Like, we can really sit down and I can help you to develop your own sound just from you, not my sound, but by just finding out who you are, we can discover what it is that you need to be doing. So if any artists out there that need some help, in any regard, in terms of the approach, hit me up, man.
And Heritage Hip Hop does not believe in streaming. Though he has music that's available to stream to see if you like it. But if you like it to love it, please purchase it. Go to his website and purchase the music because it's well worth it. And when you give the artist money, they give you more sound, more creation. Because guess what? In a crazy world with COVID-19 and Texas having snow and hail falling in Louisiana, let me tell you something. If the internet ever fell off and we didn't have internet and you didn't buy your music and that song you love so much you want to hear, you would not have that song. So make sure you purchase the music. You agree, sir?
Yes, sir. I have vinyl coming out. I'm going back to vinyl. I have vinyl coming out. CDs is coming out. Digital, all that. We're getting into NFTs. We're getting into all the smoke, because I'm starting to understand. It's different. It is. It's different when somebody buy my CD or one of the T-shirts. It's different. It's a different kind of appreciation. I feel that love directly.
Yes. And I'm gonna put it out there. I want to build with you personally because I think there's a lot we have in common. And one thing I've been looking for that I'm gonna put out there for everybody to learn as well. When you find somebody who you can learn from, the Bible says go to that man's doorstep. You know what I'm saying? And come prepared, come with a pen. That's Proverbs, you know what I'm saying? So
no doubt.
I think me and you could I think you probably teach me a lot more than maybe I could teach you, which is fine. I don't care. But for men to sharpen each other, that's a blessing. And you hold on to things like that. I'm coming to you and saying, I would love to build with you further on off the radar.
For sure.
To learn.
I'm with that.
Do some things that I would like to do as well. You know what I'm saying? You got to find people, you got to put people in your circle that's outside of your own box so you can learn from, you know?
I learned that recently, and like my whole circle is different now. I got my day ones, but like the people I talk to every day are people that know a lot more than me. Not in my field, but in other fields. It's helping me to grow. So, for sure. I'm with it.
That's what's up. So with that being said, everybody, it's time for the rapid fire questions. You don't even ask you because you got this. The rapid fire questions are not yes, no questions. These are the questions that show your depth of music, understanding of the culture, and yourself as you fall into the culture. So, question number 1, what song or album from somebody else's discography perfectly describes you?
Ooh. That's heavy. Let's see. That's heavy. That's a banger. Maybe I don't know. That's a heavy one. Maybe
Okay. I say don't tap
no,
out.
I'm not tapping out. No, I'm not tapping. Probably Coldplay. Everything's not lost.
Ooh, okay.
The live version.
The live version. Okay.
Yeah.
You had a line where you said you saw U2 with the colors and everything, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
I saw U2 live, and when I saw Exit, yo, when you said colors and how they use the monitors with the drums and everything, I felt you on that right there. So with the Coldplay one, you kind of got my mind going right now.
If you listen to the last track on Neon, that's what I was doing. It sounded live. If you go back to the last track on Neon, it says live at the Perfect Train. When you go back to it, you'll be like, yo, that's what that was.
I'm gonna do that. Okay. Here's my next question, and this is more philosophical. Everybody says hip hop is a culture, right?
Right.
If you truly understand culture, you'll understand this question. Everybody, not just like, but everyone who understands this. What part of hip hop culture is so underutilized that if we did, we would appreciate the music better?
Pride.
Pride? Why?
Pride. Well, from my understanding, our art form was kind of like jazz. They thought it was noise. They didn't really think it was anything. And we had to fight and prove that what we was doing was art. From every aspect, from b-boying to the graffiti to MCing to DJing. They said, "Oh, why are you taking that James Brown and scratching the records?" That we had to prove that it was art, and it became a multi-billion-dollar industry. It wasn't just something that we did. We took a lot of pride in what we did. We took pride in graffiti. We took pride in b-boying and DJing. We took pride in the art form of MCing and writing and making beats. And I think that's one of the things that's just I think we're losing that pride of what it is that we do, the pride of the art form.
Hip hop is very sexual. And I don't mean men and women having sex. I mean the euphoria of the beat to even the understanding of the rhyme.
Right.
And the highest form of sexuality is not your orgasm, it's the understanding of your spirituality in the midst of the action.
Okay.
What is the most gratifying part of music that gets translated from the sound or the transmission of your essence to the listener?
I think when somebody gets it. I did an album called Neon, and I sent it to a few people to do a review. I sent it to one guy did a review, and then a girl did a review. If you're good enough at music, oh, this is hot. When it got to the last track, when it got to the live joint, when the girl, she did a really detailed review about what it felt like. She said, it felt like I was at Madison Square Garden. I was just like, it was better. That description was better than anything that I could come up with. It was better than any orgasm, anything you could come up with. At that point, when I was really reaching for something creatively, that somebody got it, that I didn't think people was going to get it right away. It was like one of those Picasso kind of things, like maybe later on they'll come back and they get it. They got it. And when you're reaching for something, when you're taking the risk creatively and somebody gets it, even in one person, so far I only know one person that got it. That one person made it. That gratification was just like nothing like it.
I like that answer. You create music on different levels. I think the difference between you and most people is that you remind me of Dr. Manhattan from The Watchmen. Right. You are the person who pretty much lives the music and expresses it through creation instead of doing it because you can express it.
Right. Yeah, that's a fact.
I get that from you. So I'm going to flip one of my questions because I ask people this question. what is your dream track and who would produce it and who would be on there with you?
Okay.
The flip side of that is, what is your nightmare track? Who would you like to hear destroy music that you do and take it to another level?
Nightmare meaning, who would I want?
You define nightmare.
Okay. The only way that I can, when I think of nightmare, I just think of something bad. Like you get the, I think of something bad. I think about how I get Timberland and Bjork in a room, and I get Brandy, and I get Chris Martin, and I get them all in the room, and it just doesn't work.
So that's how you define nightmare.
I define nightmare as you finally get what you think you want, and it's not what it turns out to be.
That's not a nightmare. That's a punishment.
Okay.
The definition of nightmare is anything that you can't control that brings emotion. So as a person who does music, you're in control because you put this beat here, you put that there, you do a lot of things under your control. So the nightmare, that's why you have beautiful nightmares. That's how you have sexy nightmares.
Okay.
It's not controlled,
it.
but it brings the thing. So what would be your nightmare if somebody just destroys what you do, but it's just like, wow, you know?
I think a nightmare for me would be the dream that I want to have, the dream that I wanted to happen all this time. For that to happen right now at the stage I'm at in my life, that would probably be a nightmare.
Okay. So the nightmare isn't a song. It's it's the changing of life to where you're uncomfortable.
Right. Like if it would happen, what I thought I wanted, if it would happen right now, that would be crazy. I don't know. I don't know.
I like that. Shout out to Chief Bally for helping make this happen, because I've been wanting to talk to you for years, actually.
This is dope.
And I'm very elated with that. I have 3 more questions, and then we're gonna fall off. All right, we're gonna go fade into the night. So this question is more about you as a producer than you as a writer. All right.
Okay.
What instrument defines hip hop?
Drums.
Why?
The rhythm. The basis behind everything that we do is rhythm. The boom bap is the neck pop. It's the boom, cat. That's what makes the head nod. It's the drum, the kick, and the snare. Part reason why James Brown, the godfather of everything that we do, in the JBs, which is his band, he had 2 drummers, because James Brown, his band, it was the first time that he pretty much made the loop. Like we learned how to make beats and loop drums because they would play the same drum groove for so long. They had 2 drummers. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, without the drums, it's just like, it's the foundation of what we do. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the drums, the kick and the snare.
So check this out. So I relate that question to God, and we're going to answer that again. Check this out. The drum is the heart of the beat.
Right.
Your heart beats to the rhythm of life. So that drum is synonymous with your life essence.
Right.
When you create music, you create harmony.
Right.
When you physically look at harmony, that's called health. Because when harmony comes together to make one thing, one sound, health comes together to make one life.
Right.
Here's another level that I appreciate life on when it comes to the Most High, and it's creativity. A maple tree and a palm tree do the same thing. 2 different climates, right?
Right.
They influence you by giving you oxygen on a high level.
Okay.
But everywhere you go, without man's intervention, you have grass. So grass is the lower level of the tree because it gives oxygen. And when you're fully enveloped in oxygen, you give life. When you're fully enveloped as high as below in love, you give life, because now you're operating on life terms.
All right, that's heavy.
So the drum is very easy because it's very basic. It's the life essence.
Right.
Answer that same question without the drum. What instrument in hip hop gives you harmony, and what instrument gives you the envelopment of the culture to make you express it?
It could be the bass line.
Okay.
The bass line. Talking about just hip hop because like I'm like a music guy. So for me, melody in general, like I listen to a group called Sigur Rós from Iceland. And I don't know what they're saying. It's in Icelandic. I don't know what they're saying, dog. But I was on Elizabeth Avenue and I was in front of the building and I was listening to this song and I swear it got to this certain point and I felt the tear come down my face. It wasn't because I was sad, because whatever the hell they was doing melodically, it was so beautiful. So I feel like melody in general is a universal kind of thing. Musically, I mean, in general, for music. For hip hop, you can go with the bass line because that's one of the things that help us move, the drum and the bass line. But musically, talk about all across the board, anywhere from opera to dance hall to folk music to bluegrass to rock. The melody is the thing that's the universal thing.
I apologize to you because you sparked another question. It's a question I didn't think I would get to with you, but since you said that, I want to ask you this question.
Okay.
Define music in 5 albums.
Illmatic, John Coltrane, what's the My Favorite Things?
Okay.
Marvin Gaye, What's Going On? Bob Marley. It's not an album, but you know, the collection.
I got you.
And U2, Joshua Tree.
Classic, yo. I love that album, yo.
Right.
The Joshua Tree tour was dope. So shout out to
Right.
U2. Bono, what up? Right. All right. Now I gotta go to my other 2 questions. What area in the world you think makes the best hip hop?
Right now, or
No,
historically?
Period.
Hip hop?
Hip hop. Just hip hop.
I mean, the tri-state area.
Anywhere specific? Anywhere specific?
Queens.
Queens to you. Queens.
Sorry.
Okay.
I was talking to my brother about a Queens versus Brooklyn versus, and it was so bad how Queens would slaughter everybody. So I would say Queens. Historically, Queens, not now. Okay. But historically, Queens, yeah. Sorry.
I beg to differ with you, and I'm gonna tell you why. And it may not be for a reason you think. I think Brooklyn wears the crown for hip hop until this the one thing changes. Brooklyn is the only place where people from the same city had no egos, came together, made a song, and made a movement from a song. And that's the Crooklyn Dodgers. Whether you like 1, 2, or the third one that nobody talks about, the Crooklyn Dodgers to me is a statement in hip hop that no other place has ever done. Right?
Right.
So I ask you this question out of respect of that. If you could make the Crooklyn Dodgers of Jersey, who would it be and who's doing the beat?
Okay. See, that's the thing. Crooklyn Dodgers, you gotta put Red. Maybe Red, Lauren, and Tretch.
Now,
and I would do the beat.
Before we continue, I heard that. I already knew that was coming. But before that, that's my problem and why I say Brooklyn would beat Jersey. Because every time we talk about a Crooklyn Dodgers of something with Jersey, we always put our veterans who are A-listers, where in the Crooklyn Dodgers, those weren't even A-list talents.
All right, but those are legends too. You have Master
no
Ace,
doubt.
legend.
No doubt.
Legend.
No doubt.
If we talk about right now, it'd be like me, Phenom, and Docs probably.
That's what I wanted to hear. That's what I wanted to hear.
And Cardiac would do the beat.
Well, make it happen. I want a Jersey Crooklyn Dodgers type thing. I want you and all on it. And that's why I asked this question. Nah, keep it real. Redman, Lauryn Hill, Queen Latifah, Tretch, Even if you put Wise Intelligent in there, I don't care if you went old school to put Chill Rob G, K Def, Larry O, it doesn't matter.
Right.
In Jersey, we have so much talent that we always push them out. But the Crooklyn Dodgers didn't get LL Cool J, KRS-One, Coogee Rap, or Big Daddy Kane or something. They got people who, nobody's going to say Chubb Rock is the greatest rapper of all time in many lists.
But
Buckshot was the man for like 3 years in the 90s.
Buckshot was
Salute to the general.
Man.
Salute to the general.
And
Yes,
Master Ace was already that guy.
The music man.
And Chubb Rock was he was already a staple. He already was a solid figure.
So check this out.
You know what I mean? But so that's why I went to the Legends with that.
All right, but check this out. We just crossed 2 songs because we didn't bring up OC. We didn't bring up Special Ed. We didn't bring up J. Rue the Damager. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I mean.
OC is one of my favorite. OC is one of my favorite MCs of all time.
Another underappreciated.
Jewel's
Word Life was a
Bible,
classic,
bro.
You like Jewel's? I like Word Life.
Jewel's is a Bible for me.
So that's what I mean. Like even with us, and we always say Jersey has so much talent. Jersey got this. We keep going back to the same bag to represent where we have we have Chief Bowie, Dox Diggler, we have BMR, and so many other greats that we're not even bringing them up.
Right, you know so much, so many. Right.
So testimony time. How'd you like your interview? How did we do tonight?
We did great. First of all, I want to shout out all of the Jersey battle rappers, especially out of North, for all the Ars, O-Red, Shotgun Suge, Surf. You know what I'm saying? New Jersey Twerk. Everybody that's from Jersey, that's in the battle culture, they have been holding Jersey hip hop up by themselves, it seems like. All around the world, people know about North and the South Ward North. Niggas in Germany is talking about South that. Shout out to all of the battle rappers from North, from Jersey that's holding it down. We'd be absolutely criminal if we did not give credit to those that are holding that part of the culture up and representing our state. So shout out to all of them. It was one of the best interviews I had. Some of the questions was so heavy, I had to really dig deep. And this is probably one of the first interviews that I had that I wanted to send to my father right away.
Well, guess what?
I'm gonna send this to Pop Dukes.
I'm gonna have this ready for you.
As soon as it's available.
No, I'm gonna have it ready for you ASAP. So salute the Pop. May the Most High bless you and your family eternally and abundantly.
No doubt.
So here's the final question, and I'm glad that I like I said, I'm not bougie. Listen, whenever you want to come back to Heritage Hip Hop, you have an open door for Monochrome 5, 6, 7 season finale. I don't care, Gold Tape 2, whatever you want to do. You have an open door policy, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk with you. So here's my final question. My final question is the most important question of the first interview. So when you come back, you get all different questions. Don't even think you're going to hear the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So,
all right, no doubt.
So my final question to you is this. 500 years from now, when we go to the Hip Hop Museum, which is they broke Brown in the Bronx, maybe we'll have one in Newark too. And 500 years from now, when they see Vertical Jones, and a person goes, "Who's Vertical Jones? I never heard of him." And they go to the wall and they push a red button, and your hologram comes out, and they start playing your music. You're going to be introduced to another set of ears generations from now.
All right.
My most important question is, what is the legacy you left behind that made the world better because you did music?
The legacy that I leave behind was passion. It was passion. It was somebody that believed in something, and that somebody that really never stopped. I tell people that since September 1996, I haven't stopped doing music. There hasn't been 1 week that I didn't do music. All of my friends stopped. And I think that the legacy is like, yo, this dude really loved it. And he really was passionate, and he really was honest at a time when it wasn't even really cool to be honest. And nobody, I remember when I was running by the name Choir Boy, and it wasn't really even cool to do that. I was talking to Chuck D when Chuck D had the radio station in New York, and I was like, yo, bro, I'm dead serious about what I'm talking about, just like how you was dead serious. You know what I'm saying? It's like a person that was really bold about his message. You know what I'm saying? And like, yo, it wasn't even, I don't even know if it's cool to talk about God the way I do and the way I talk about my kids. But I just make it cool. It's cool to me. You know what I mean? So the passion and the steadfastness and the ability to maintain my creative freedom this whole time. You know,
bro.
so creative freedom, passion, maybe.
Nah, definitely, because everybody out there watching, creative freedom means you could do what you want to do, not what you're told to do. That's a liberty. And most people in music today fight for liberty and not for freedom. So when you have somebody who can give you the tools for freedom, the legacy of freedom is just that. Be yourself, express yourself, and live confident within yourself. Because at the end of the day, you can only be judged by yourself and the gifts that the Most High gave you. So with that being said, this is Karev at Heritage Hip Hop with a legend, not in the making, a legend, Vertical Jones. Make sure you go cop the Monochrome Series and anything else from him, from his website. What's that website again?
Keep Working Vert, VERT, keepworkingvert.com. If you go to any of my socials, the link is in the bio on Instagram. Find me on there. I'm on YouTube. Just put me in Google. I'll pop up. It's only one of me. Thank God, because I had problems before with names and stuff. So
look, I bought the album I have off of iTunes. So I promise you, I will, after studying your model, and that's a model I teach as well, I'll be purchasing from your website from now on. So may the Most High bless you, your family, and may the Most High bless all y'all watching. With that being said, this is Karev at Heritage Hip Hop with the legend saying peace, and we out.
All right, what's up? Peace.
Thank you for watching our presentation. We ask that you subscribe to our YouTube family and hit the notification bell for updates. Please like, comment, and share this video.